Oh, cool. How many are not from Colorado?
Rise of the humans.
Have fun. Creativity, strategic thinking, problem solving.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. As we get ready to wrap up the afternoon, I feel like just a little bit left. It's been a fantastic week and certainly want to thank everyone here at Mile High and certainly all the sponsors for making this conference possible. My name is Amanda Wodzenski. I am principal at Hike 2, and I am going to kick us off today. And then I'm going to pass the baton to Mike Lampa. And Mike Lampa is one of the most brilliant data minds that you will ever have an opportunity to hear from. So I'm just so pleased to be co-presenting with him here today. We're going to go ahead and get started. So once again, thank you to the sponsors. And we are here to tell you that we need to all be thinking about data a little bit differently. So I'm going to start off with a bit of a question here. Does anyone in this room have a chief data officer in their organization?
Oh.
How many times a day do you think about data? If it's every day, raise your hand. Okay. So we're all definitely in the right space. And, a little bit about myself. I've been working in the Salesforce ecosystem for over 15 years and, certainly have encountered many a time when somebody says something, doesn't really work and it works great, but there's certainly some challenges with the data that's driving it. So, we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about data, but a question, and certainly the premise for this talk is, are you ready? We have been getting so much messaging, from the entire ecosystem in and outside of Salesforce about everything that's coming down the pike. You can see here, welcome to the summer of AI. Well, summer is over, and we've certainly heard about every new version of GPT, what's coming on the Salesforce front, what's coming outside of the Salesforce front, and who here is ready? Like if I have to ask you that question, are you ready? Can anyone raise their hand and say, yeah, we're ready? All right, so we can talk about that a little bit today. So AI and machine learning, they're really changing businesses forever. Before there was AI, there was data analytics. And the data analytics tools that many of you use today, many of you may still be on your journey of building out those tools. These are the tools that automatically gather your information, whether it be demographics, data, purchase history, personal preferences, all that type of great stuff. But that data is then evaluated and then presented to the business in easy to digest and actionable ways. So some of us have really accomplished that. Others of us are still on our journey. But now we have AI-enhanced analytics. So here, not only are we presenting, what's happened or what's there or what we've collected, but we now have the ability to suggest what should come next. So with the AI analytics, we're able to anticipate our customer needs, resolve support issues before they even happen, and create unique and personalized experiences. For this to all be effective, we need to take a couple of steps back, and from we need to know a little bit about, and because we're going to really need to leverage both machine learning and deep learning to get our tools really soaring. So Mike is going to tell you a whole lot more about this stuff, but from a machine learning standpoint, what's important is these are kind of more traditional algorithms that we use. These models are a little bit simpler, and they're generally faster to train. When we get into deep learning, we're talking about a lot more complexity. We're thinking about using neural networks, and if you've started to see some pictures of them, they get pretty sophisticated and pretty interesting pretty fast. So here, when we think about deep learning, we're really thinking about complexity, and these are the models that take a lot longer to train. So how do we build trust with data? And this is like one of my favorite sayings right here, is that customers show us their trust in two ways. They give us their money and they give us their data. So how do we earn more data? We do that by using our existing data to generate those insights and really help to improve their experiences. And then the cycle continues to repeat itself. So we earn more data, we earn more money from our clients. So in order to do that, we really do want to think about what is a data culture. And a data culture is something that's going to be really important to your organization. And I think this is where we want to challenge ourselves to think about data in a new way. It's not just part of the solutions that we're all here building, on or off the Salesforce platform. So often we're thinking about, okay, we need to design the solution, when we really need to kind of take that step back and think about what a true, modern analytics program needs to look like. And then we're using the solution to really make that program work. But practicing data-driven behaviors is going to be incredibly important, that we have alignment within our organization and we're achieving our outcomes. We need to value strategic data use. We want to encourage sharing and community and education, and then taking a lean, agile approach to how we think about building data products. But building both a data culture and those data products, we're here to tell you today, that's going to be your secret sauce to success. So if you have a truly data-driven organization, everyone's empowered to make better decisions with data. We're not just choosing the right technology, but we're really taking a look and making great decisions. You're not just deploying software, you're driving operational and organizational transformation by keeping data at the center of every single conversation. And everybody has the right tools. They're developing the right behaviors, new skills, and participation is encouraged, rewarded, and recognized. So we are definitely at an inflection point, and there really is no time to waste whatsoever. So, question one, is your business ready? And to be able to answer that question, we don't want to be talking purely about solutions. And how many of us have heard, from people, oh my gosh, we need to implement AI. We got to go do something. Like, it's time. Let's hurry up. Let's get something done. And the question we should really be asking ourselves is not how we implement AI, but what are those super high value business cases that we can solve for? What's going to move the needle for our business? How can we be absolutely sure we're going to get immediate ROI? Because what we do know is that technology is going to change. It's going to change very rapidly. What we implement tomorrow may be obsolete in 3 months or 3 weeks. So making sure that we're solving things that are true to our business, important to the business, what's compelling and what can produce value. And then the next question is your data ready? Is your Salesforce instance ready to go? Do you have other data on and off the platform? Are you integrated? Is this going to work? What data is needed to make this happen? When you think about those high value business cases, do you have the data ready to support that? And finally, do you have the right people in seats? Are they in the right role? And do they have the right data skills? With that, I am thrilled to pass it to our brilliant data mind.
My job is to keep you guys awake after lunch. All right, Mike Lampa. I've been working in the analytics space as a consultant since 2000, right at the turn of the century. And I've got a lot of stripes on my back and a couple stripes on my shoulder. But we have learned a lot over the course of the years. I grew up with the industry, and I'm here to just tell you what I know, right? Which probably might not be as much as Amanda's building me up to be. So, we got a couple, 3 core tenets here. First, humans matter. Incredibly important, excuse me, in the data and analytics space, because what we're trying to do is enable people to do their jobs better by being more properly informed, right? So they can make better decisions. But to really understand how to help humans make better decisions, we really need to get in and understand the processes that they're trying to perform more efficiently and more effectively. We also need to understand, how do people make decisions? It's about getting into the decision-making process that happens in the brain, because our visualizations need to promote that kind of interaction, right? So if we don't have good actionable insights coming out, we're not going to generate thought that then takes me to a decision that I'm most comfortable in. So that's why the humans matter. right? And the other element around it is there's a lot of learning that has to take place to really become effective using data products that enable analytic products. And I'm purposely saying the word products, and you'll see in a few moments why. So there's a lot of need for continuous education and training, right? Because this space is changing so dramatically. Like I said, I've been in the space since 2000. This last 3 months, when generative AI showed up at my front door, and then my business partner turned to me and says, Mike, what offers do we have around this? I said, I don't even know what this thing is, right? I've never seen anything so dynamic and so incredibly impactful as this enabling technology. And it came out of nowhere, right? So training is going to be a key. Right? And machine learning, artificial intelligence are going to continuously be more and more critical. I've been asking them, when I taught at different seminars, I always ask for a show of hands, how many people are doing machine learning? I don't even ask now, how many of y'all are doing it? Okay, I got one person out of the, I counted, there's about 40 people in this room, right? It's been around for years. Actuarial services in property and casualty insurance, those actuarials have been using machine learning since the 80s, right? And other groups like marketing and everybody else, we need to get out. We need to use better predictive models to help us make better decisions, to better understand how do we need to go into the future, right? So AI and machine learning are going to be incredibly impactful and important. And it's not just getting the memory muscle around getting better and better at using machine learning-based recommendations and predictions as part of your job, but also making sure we really understand the right technologies to use for our enterprise. Right? And then the last is about being smart and fast. And what we're the premise underneath this tenet is we need to enable the business community, the people that really know their data, to get their hands on the data. So we need labs. We need places where we can experiment, a safe zone, where we can play and learn and try new things, because out of every, 10 ideas, one of them's gonna pop, right? So very important to have that kind of approach. And then the other thing, I mentioned product before, as we're delivering capabilities, don't let perfection be the enemy of good, right? Minimum viable products, deliver something that will generate some value. Even if it's not all the value, is this value generating here? Yes. Can you use it? Yes. Deploy it. We'll put the other stuff into the backlog. We'll continue to build upon it. And that really needs to be the mantra across your entire analytics portfolio and program. Okay. Is it this button? Yes. All right. What I'm going to walk us through is an adaptation of a software delivery framework called the Scaled Agile Framework. Has anybody heard of that? Okay. I love you, girl. So the Scaled Agile Framework is really, it's an embodiment of 3 bodies of knowledge. The first is around lean principles, really embracing lean principles. The second is systems thinking, thinking of everything as a system. When I'm ready to go mow my lawn, there's a system, right, kind of thing. And then the third is agile delivery techniques, right? Being able to move quickly and repeatedly deliver good software. So we adapted that software development methodology for the data and analytics space. And for many years, my peers pushed back on me. It was like, we don't build software. We do data. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? We create software that produces the data that's curated so that we can act upon it. And then we create more software to visualize that data, right? So it is a software development methodology, and we proved it. So what I'm going to walk you through is what we call our lean agile product delivery mindset and methodology, right? At the roof of this house is the lean agile product management mindset. And here's where value gets defined, prioritized, and scheduled and funded for delivery. What are we going to do next? And it's tied to the strategic initiatives of the enterprise. We're trying to level up the analytics portfolio to be a first-class citizen, right along with marketing and sales and service, right? And what we're going to deliver across those business domains is linked back to the strategic initiatives that each of the business domains need to achieve, so that we can say, how can we help you achieve that through analytics, okay? There's a couple, you see the word continuous a lot up in that top bar. That's the lean influence. I want to continuously improve. I want to continuously innovate. I want to continuously find a way to be more and more transparent and predictable in my software development delivery lifecycle. Right? So what is really, it's really a portfolio management method. And it's based on lean portfolio management, and it's linked to the strategic initiative so that at the end of the day, we constantly know we're delivering the right thing. We're going to design the right thing. And then we're going to go out and figure out how to design them the right way, right? Some key roles that will be that are involved in the ongoing agile portfolio management is, of course, enterprise leadership, because we got to get the funding, right? We got to get the sign off that, yes, that's the right strategic initiative to make the investment in. We have to have the buy-off. Yes, if you can give me this value, I'll make the investment. The business product manager is a role that's acting on behalf of the business community, on behalf of the business community. The product manager is the author, all right? So I'm going to define the objectives that we need to achieve for this analytic product that I need built, right? Acting on behalf of the domain owners and even the end customers, where we're reaching out, what are the needs of our customers? How can we help enable that need through the use of analytics, right? The business domain owner, of course, that's the head of marketing, the head of sales, et cetera, et cetera. They all need to be involved as well, because they have accountability back to the strategic plan. And then the data analysts in those domains, the people that really know their data, that have the ideas. Those are some of the key roles that are continuously involved in the product management. Then we start getting into the more tactical. So the lean agile product management part, that's an operating system. It's a system for executing continuously, knowing we're doing the right stuff. Now we're ready to start talking about the software we're going to build. And then the data ops and ML ops place, that's where we're using software, to build data pipelines that take the raw materials out of the operational systems. Whew, I got to catch my breath. What is it, 5,000 feet up in the air? I'm a Dallas boy, and I'm like, oh, man. All right, so bear with me as I zen out a little bit. So we're building software that takes that raw material from the operating systems, the operational systems, and we're curating that data so that we can enable analytics, right? And we're going to make sure that as we're curating that data, we're constantly observing the hygiene of that data. Because if the hygiene of the data isn't there, as it is in its initial inception in the operational systems, that compromises the ability to make good analytics, right? So one of the mantras I've always had is, as you build your cloud data warehouse, we don't fix anything. We observe everything, we integrate everything. We don't own this data, though. You don't own it in the data warehouse. The operational units own their data. So we want to constantly give them feedback. In order to enable some analytics, can you please change your business process? Right. All right. A couple of the other things around data ops is when we get ready to deploy, all deployments should be done as code, so that when I migrate new capabilities from a development environment up into a productionalized environment, it's very repeatable. I'm not introducing errors and issues into the environment. Okay. So I've got the software that's building data products, right? So the whole benefit there is those data products really are the underpinning enablers for analytics. Thank you. Do you have an oxygen tank? They're the enablers. Now I have these data products that have been designed for analytics. Now I'm going to start generating value by building analytic products on top of it. We're going to talk about that part in a moment. Right? So that's our key benefit. Now the key roles, that product manager partner, that's a technically oriented person that is liaisoning, is a liaison, there you go, back to the product manager. So the product manager is acting as the voice of the business. The product manager partner is translating it down to the delivery teams. So these are the objectives. This is what we got to do. This is how we need to prioritize things. And he works very closely with the Scrum Master, who is a servant leader. That is a person that's removing roadblocks and letting the team get their job done as quickly as possible. And then the data architect and the data engineer are very key delivery roles. The data architect is looking at the requirements and starting to design what that cloud data warehouse is going to look like, how the data is going to come together and be integrated, how we're going to enable ease of use and ensure quality, things of that nature. And then the data architect also provides the specifications to the data engineer so that the data engineer knows how, what to do with that raw material data as it goes through the data pipeline to get it into the structure that the data architect is expecting, okay? And then very important element as part of the scaled agile framework, we need to have these delivery teams need to be very cross-functional and self-contained. When we build out these data products, rules for quality, rules for security, regulatory compliance and governance, bias and ethics, all those characteristics have to be part of the definition of the data product as we're building it by design, deliberately by design. They're not necessarily full-time people like the data architect and data engineer and Scrum Master are, but they definitely need to stay involved. Okay? Now we're talking about data management. So I got these cool data products built. Now we have to manage them. And because it's a product, it has a life cycle. At some point, things that we have built will start to lose its luster. It's at end of life. And we have to be cognizant of that because we don't want obsolete data products to become a liability, right? We want them to continue to be an asset. So that's one very key point. Those products are built for optimal user experience, interacting with those data products through their analytic products. And there's a lot of security wrapped around it, and all those rules for governance and compliance and quality, they've been embedded because that was part of the spec, and there's telemetry that's being generated to tell us how well we doing on our hygiene. It's like, why is that part off? It always seems to be off. Let's get together with those product lean or line managers and talk about changes of process, all right? So, they're published for analytic consumption, these data products are. And the benefit there is we're getting the right data to the right people at the right time to take advantage of and use in the right way, right? And again, the usual suspects are involved in the data management as we're involved in the data ops area. Your data architects, your data engineers, all the people weighing in around risk and governance and security, et cetera. And the product manager partner, of course, continuing to liaise back and forth with the product manager, because as we're delivering, things will come up. And one of the key lean principles is always presume variability and preserve options to change, okay? And things will change, and then the product manager partner has to go to the product manager and say, we just ran into something. We don't have this data to do this one little part. So we want to pivot. Or we think we have an alternative route and we can persevere. And you get that agreement, right, and then move on. Okay. All right, so now I got all these cool data products. What am I going to do with them? And that's where the discovery and data science pillar comes into play. You see a lot of references to self-service up there. That's because we fully believe the business needs to be enabled with the right tools and the right training and the right data products to go innovate and ideate and find new, cool, meaningful aha moments where we can make a change in how we deliver our goods and services to our customer, or a change in how we are running our business, right, to optimize it. So there's self-service data prep will come into play there. Insights, self-service insights, whether it's Tableau visualizations or other kind, Give me something that tells me a story with millions of rows of data that's underneath it, because my brain doesn't have the time to scroll through millions of rows. Plus, Excel doesn't go up that high. And then self-service data science as well. There's a lot of great platforms out there to enable not only the PhDs, the people that are true data scientists and are developing new kinds of machine learning algorithms, but also those savvy business analysts that really understand how to interact with data. These platforms can enable them to start to build machine learning products. Right. Right. And then there's the idea of product innovation. I want to enable the business with the tools to innovate and come up with new ideas at scale, reducing their 100% dependency on going back to the data professionals and wait for them to build them a dashboard. Give them the tools and the training to be able to do it on their own at scale. Right? And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't put a bullet in there for generative AI, because that's the new big groundswell. Just like everybody else, we're learning as quickly as we can. If you run across practitioners that say they're experts in it, that's almost like saying a machine learning algorithm that's 100% accurate. These are impossible things to say right now, right? Okay. So it's letting you, the analytic stakeholder, interact with those data products at scale, right? And by doing that, when the business is working with the data and building it on their own, they're much more invested in using these analytic dashboards that get built or machine learning algorithms that get built, right? And by having that more integrated experience and involvement, you're going to get to the point where you're enabling better business decisions happening, and we can measure it. Since we started using this analytic product, and if the intent of that product was to increase market share, well, we're looking at the metrics and we're seeing that our campaign segmentation is much more accurate. Our take rates are up, our conversions are up, right? Ever since we implemented this analytic. Is it a causal relationship? Probably not, but it sure is a coincidence that 1 week after we implemented this new segmentation model, our metrics are up. Right? That's good stuff. The key roles here, the product manager partners, of course, still involved, but we have a new set of engineers that are experts at developing insights, developing dashboards and visualizations, and delivering them up, as well as, because of generative AI, the whole new role of being a good prompter as you interact with ChatGPT. There's a prompt engineering happening now, so it's a whole new role. Get a degree and go, ride the wave, right? And then data scientists and data analysts are key roles in this space. They're the people building new insights. Okay? Last but not least, the most important is the foundation, right? The humans. And here we're back to making sure all the way from leadership down to everybody in the organization, we're all getting comfortable being focused on continuous improvement, continuous innovation. We're all getting better at pivoting or persevering. We're getting more agile, right? We're getting better at sensing external signals that says, ooh, something's happening in our market. We need to shift, and we need to shift quickly. So it's all around organizational agility, and the whole organization kind of like integrating into their DNA. We constantly want to improve on how we do stuff, on the tools we're using, on the decisions we're making. And as part of that is leveling up our data literacy, right? Our attitudes, our behaviors, and our capabilities with interacting with data products, using analytic products. Another key thing is, as you go through transformations, and we're all going through transformations, anybody not transform over the last 3.5 years? Right? I mean, who would have ever thought some of these world events would take place, right? As organizations go through transformations, there is this whole valley of despair that happens. Change is incredibly hard, right? It really is hard. It's like, I really kind of like the way I've been doing it for the last 20 years. Why do I have to change? That's that's me saying that to myself right now. As a data architect, why do I have to change? Well, things are changing around me. So the goal here is we want to flatten that valley of despair out. We want to kind of level it out, and we want to shorten the duration for when people are in doubt. And we need to do that through continuous education, coaching, mentoring, collaboration, cooperation. Because we want to get to a high-performing set of humans, right? And we want to see that organizational agility. And when it happens, it is just so truly exciting and exhilarating. And you start to see the whole company's thinking in a different way, right? And then I didn't have any key roles on the human transformation because it's everybody. It's everybody in the organization. So all the roles we talked about and then some. Right? Everybody's job is to understand. If I don't understand, seek to understand. Why are we changing? What's the value? Okay, I get it. Now I understand how I'm going to get on the train wave. Okay. All righty.
Now, just to take a minute to bring this back to Salesforce, as Mike and I have been working together, we're able, how do I bring this back to Salesforce? You've been coaching me, and we're doing amazing things, but Salesforce is its own beast. So how do we align our data products and our data product roadmaps with our Salesforce platform roadmaps? And when we take a look at the what the elements of the modern analytics program are, what the pillars are, and we really think about the data ops and the machine learning ops. You know, we talked about these are our business processes. So this is where we're going to see a lot of our Salesforce cloud sit. A lot of our non-Salesforce data is going to be on that operations side. Then as we really think about data management
And where and how we're managing that data, we're bringing it to our data warehouse, so data cloud. If some of you are already, starting to leverage data cloud or you're considering about it, that is, absolutely how we think about data management on the Salesforce platform. And then finally, the data science and discovery. It is the dashboards, the Tableau, the next best actions, your predictions. Every version of Salesforce GPT that we do see on the product roadmap will sit there, and we will all learn how to use it and become prompt engineers and start to really make the most out of that discovery. And then, kind of certainly those high-performing teams that are all important to it as well. Looking at another way to think about it from Salesforce, as we think about connecting and harmonizing our data, engaging with the data, and then ultimately the experience. How are we interacting with our data? What does that look like? This should start to look very familiar with you. And we will be able to not only unify our customer data with our insights and with the AI and the automation in real time, but aligning both our data products alongside with our Salesforce product roadmaps. So how do we get started? Proper planning is key. When we really think about having a strategic portfolio of prioritized analytics products, that's going to be the most important thing. Are we working on the right programs and projects? Are they going to have immediate and high value for our business? And can we get to roadmaps that are tied to our organizational initiatives, our enterprise goals and our department goals? So, just working on the right stuff. Like if you take anything away today, that's, certainly one of the number one things we need to do. That technology really does matter. All technology is not created equal. We know as we start to select technology, select fewer platforms. We know they're going to change, be very intentional. Think that's where Salesforce really gives us a lot of opportunity. This is a platform that we're already on. Let's leverage, kind of what we know about Salesforce. How can we maximize it? How can we start to really get and identify some use cases and then use the technology that we already have as we're able to? So then designing ultimately those products. Mike mentioned that we really need to think about the security, the governance, the ethics behind that, ensure that that happens, and certainly do not neglect the humans. Nothing's going to work if the humans don't work, if there's no buy-in. So, the humans have to work, the data has to work, and then maybe your Salesforce will work. Anything else to add, Mike?
Just one thing on the technology matters when we're designing those data and analytic products, because the technology landscape does change a lot. It's important for the data engineer and the data architect to constantly think about this design that I do. I want to design it so that it can be as portable as possible. Because if I decide I'm going to go to BigQuery, because I used to use SQL Server in Azure, I want to make sure that the lift, the effort to properly take advantage of the BigQuery technology, I don't want to just lift and shift stuff around, but I want to be able to minimize the refactoring and the re-architecting, because I'm deliberately by design thinking this is not the only database technology this content may be running on. Okay.
All right, so something that may be of interest to you, we have developed an AI readiness assessment with some unique questions about data and how you're set up today as an organization. Feel free to scan this QR code, and you will get some insights back from us on, some next best steps that you can take based on the results of your assessment.
And I'll sweeten that pot. If you take the survey, you're going to identify yourself to us. Just give us a note, and if you want, we'll give you a copy of this content as a takeaway resource for you. Okay?
So check us out at hike2.com. We are so honored to be here today. Certainly wish you a very last happy hour of the conference. If you traveled, safe travels. If you're here in Denver, enjoy the Labor Day weekend. But thank you so very much.
Thank you, everyone.